So now on to what you all came here for. So Dennis Hanwell is the mayor and safety director for the city of Medina. He's been the chief of police for the city of Medina for over 12 years and has over 36 years of service with the city of Medina and over 38 years of law enforcement experience. Dennis has an associate's degree in criminal justice from the University of Akron and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration from Tiffin University. Dennis had served as the president of the Medina County Police Chiefs Association for 11 years. He's had articles published in national criminal justice periodicals and has been a speaker at previous Ohio Attorney General conferences, SAFE community conferences, and public safety directors conferences. Under his tenure, the City of Medina Police Department has received both state and national recognition for various community policing initiatives. Those initiatives have now been implemented citywide under a community-oriented government model. Dennis has been married to Chris for 41 years in August. They have 2 children, Jonathan and Nicole, 1 grandchild, Madison, and another grandchild due in November. So with that, I'll introduce Mayor Dennis Hanwell.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate your time. There's a lot of good information to share with you. I'd like to thank the Chamber for the invite and also the sponsors that you just heard from. How about we give Mark Williams and Allie a round of applause for the food. I also need to thank Miles Reed, who put together the presentation for us. Usually how this works is I come up with an outline, a base outline, and then he puts together the photos, the videos to go along with it. And this is an outstanding presentation, which you'll see here shortly. We have a number of elected officials I'd like to introduce. 2 of our county commissioners, Pat Geisman and Colleen Swedick. Medina City Councilman Jim Shields. Wadsworth City Councilman Dave Williams. Keith Durham, our Finance Director. And Rebecca Parkhurst from Medina City School Board. Are there other elected officials that missed the sign-in? Okay, thank you. Then I'd also like my department heads to stand up just for a second. We're not going to introduce them all, but just to show you who does the work in the city. And in addition to Chris, my wife, my mom is here. My father's not feeling well today, so he didn't make the excursion. My aunt Elaine is here from California. My mom and dad in-laws, Steve and Joanne Pescio, are here, and my son Jonathan, who's a proud employee of Sandridge Salads. So the theme for this year's presentation is what makes Medina best hometown. You've probably seen the banners. Medina was awarded best hometown by Ohio Magazine. We've got the banners in town, but there are particular things that we do intentionally day in and day out that, in my mind, makes us a best hometown and ranks the city above others. So that's what the presentation is going to be about today. The first thing about a best hometown is a collaboration and partners with others. This event that the Chamber puts on is a prime example of that. Supporting Main Street Medina, supporting our local schools, working cooperatively with the county and the surrounding townships. We partner with the Ohio Department of Transportation and fraternal organizations like the Rotary and the Kiwanis. Just yesterday, I was speaking to the Kiwanis. Noon Kiwanis celebrated their 100th year anniversary. So that's unusual for some of these organizations to have been around that long. Some of our churches we partner with, as well as the Medina Community Band. The Best Hometown also works in collaboration with our healthcare partners. We have excellent care here in our community with a variety of healthcare providers. It offers excellent employment opportunities to many in our community. Just if you're not aware, in the city and surrounding the city are Metro Health, Summa, University Hospitals, and of course Medina Hospital, a Cleveland Clinic hospital. The other thing that the Cleveland Clinic and Medina Hospital do for us is they've helped us with the Healthy Medina program. We have over 65% of our employees enrolled in that program now, and as a result of taking part in that program, the city saw a 0% increase in our healthcare premiums in 2017. We saw a 7.8% reduction in our healthcare premiums in 2018, and a 4.5% reduction in our premiums in 2019. That's a total of 12% lower than what we paid for healthcare in 2016. And Dr. Shoebridge, I thank you and the hospital for your work in that regard.
You know, the purpose of hospitals these days is not only to help people get well, it's also to help our community stay healthy. We have been partnering with the City of Medina for the last few years on something called Healthy Medina. We work with employees of the City of Medina to help improve their health through education and stopping bad habits and losing weight, eating smarter, all those types of things. And when we can document those health improvements, then we can take that to an insurance company and show that our citizens are getting healthier. That in turn can lead to lower or at least stable or lower insurance rates for those participants. So we're very grateful for the City of Medina's participation, but I think it's been beneficial to both of us. Just for reference, in 2019, our participants in the Healthy Medina have lost over 500 pounds in total. Nearly 1 in 5 of our participants has had an improvement in blood pressure to the normal range. And over 50% of participants have had an improvement in their overall health risk score.
Thank you, Doctor. So the Best Hometown also has strong commercial and industrial economic development efforts. In 2017, we had $116 million invested in our community, and we thought that was a pretty good number. But in 2018, we surpassed that with $154 million total investment. We do business retention and expansion visits cooperatively with the Chamber and Medina County Economic Development Committee. We created 318 new jobs in 2018 and 489 in 2017. Now, job creation is usually a good thing. Our problem is now, it doesn't matter if you talk to industry, it doesn't matter if you talk to healthcare, it doesn't matter if you talk to retail or even food services. The problem is getting workers. There are just not enough, with unemployment as low as it is, not enough qualified workers to fill the jobs that we have. So we're working on some innovative programs to try to find ways to bring some more workers into our region, to encourage people to stay in Medina and work versus go outside of the county, and it's important that we get these jobs filled. The city partners with the Chamber and Main Street Medina to host ribbon cuttings. We have to set aside a day a month. We set aside a Friday a month, and the reason we pick Fridays is, first of all, everybody can get it on their calendar. The second thing is the state legislators like to come, and they're not generally in session unless the budget or something special is going on. So because of that, we have county officials attend with us, state legislators and elected offices of the state attend, as well as either federal legislators or representatives of the federal legislators. And it makes a big difference with a small organization or a small company to see a mass come out and show them the support of their local community. The city also permits businesses to display their wares in a display case at Medina City Hall. We give them like 30 days. So Root Candle has been up there, Fire Decks has been up there. And it's important that our community know about these local businesses, what kind of services they provide, what kind of employment they're providing there. And it's not just new businesses, it's really tenured businesses too. Just a week and a half ago, we recognized Root Candles for 150 years in business. And at City Council, a couple months ago, we recognized Drug Mart celebrating 50 years. And those are all important.
You know, for us, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think for any business or any company looking to choose Medina, from my perspective, it's a home run. If they're really looking for a quality of life for themselves or for their employees, choosing this community, I don't think it gets any better probably in the state of Ohio or even in the United States of America, really, for
I agree.
As a sense of community. So, you know, for us, you know, we made a $30 million plus investment into this community. So we did not take that lightly at all, because that's a lot of money to risk. And if we fail in a major way. And so driving our stakes in deep here came with a lot of thoughts, a lot of homework, to make sure we were making the right decision, because it's our life and it's a lot of people, a lot of people's lives too, that are trusting us for their success and for their well-being.
So just in case you were wondering, that was Jeff's wife helping him out there a little bit, as they do, right? A best hometown also has a friendly and welcoming building department. And I take a lot of pride in this. We worked very hard to get our building department under Dan's leadership to the place that it is today. It's a division of our community development department where we have building, planning and zoning, and economic development all there together, but all of the support staff know each other's jobs. And that's important. If somebody takes a vacation or somebody's away at a training, that we can continue operations and not have folks come back. We have a very strong customer service orientation. We obtained a $15,000 community development block grant for code enforcement efforts, which means that's $15,000 of city dollars that we don't have to do. And the building department received the David A. Smith 2018 Award for Building Department Excellence. And it was presented March 4th in 2019. And the building department, as well as the staff of the community development department, all work very hard day in and day out. Now, the reason that award is so important, that David A. Smith Award, what the project was is you'd submit ourselves for that award. Well, they didn't look at what we submitted. They contacted contractors, homeowners, people that do business in the city, projects, and asked them, what was your experience with the city of Medina, to reinforce what we were telling them that we were doing. And at the end of the day, we ended up with the award. And Dan, thanks for your work on that.
I fell in love with the town and the square and began looking around for property on the square, which I for some reason wanted to own and manage. I got the property, and then I hired an architect, and when I hired him, I wanted him to go out and sit in the square in Medina for 2 days and look around and look around and look around. And at the end of the 2 days, I told him, that's what I want in the building. And so we did, he did, we did, and we got the initial drawings together, and I liked what he proposed, and he actually liked a couple of my ideas as well. From the date of onset when I had my first idea to finishing up, it was a 4-year project, and I didn't up till that point realize I had the kind of stick-to-itiveness to pull it off, but we did, and it did. And I want to give a heads up also to Dan Gladish, our Medina's building inspector. He has been nothing but helpful. with just some innovative things to do, some things to watch out for in construction, and a very, very informative man. And Dan, I'm going to say this directly to you. I appreciate everything you did for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. For those of you who may not be aware, that's at the former chamber site, Dr. Raymond's building there, and it has 3 commercial properties on the lower level and 5 two-bedroom apartments that are currently being leased to bring housing near our downtown. A Best Hometown also supports the community with grants. Sandy Davis from our Community Development Department does a great deal of searching out grants and trying to couple that with the city money to do more and more things without spending all local money. We get a community development block grant that's $150,000, and that's spread over 2 years. And the other thing that we get is a program year 2018 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Grant. And what this helps is those that maybe don't have the financial wherewithal to keep their house up to code and up to stock. This helps them with some monies to create that, and then they pay the money back on a low interest loan. We do this grant with the City of Brunswick, and the advantage of that is instead of having an administrator and administrative fees going to 2 different cities, which ultimately means less money going to the grant recipients and more projects that can't be done, by doing it collaboratively with the City of Brunswick, we have $648,000 to split between us, and we're only taking one small portion of it out of administrative fees. And that's worked out very, very well for us. The Best Hometown also has a variety of amenities for our residents. We have a very large parkland system, some undeveloped with woods and places for the deer to hide when they're not in your yards, and sports fields. We have 2 splash pads. We have an outdoor swimming pool that we reopened a couple years ago, and it's been very successful with the upgrades that we did there. A lot of people using it. We're edging on the point of breaking even versus having to subsidize it, which is what we were trying to do. The other thing we did that's important is when we opened the outdoor pool, we put the pool operations under the rec center, because it didn't make sense to have the Parks Department operating a pool for 3 months a year when the rec center does it 12 months a year. The other advantage that gave us is if somebody buys a pool pass today and this afternoon a thunderstorm comes in and they won't let them use the pool, at least for a period of time, and it's going to linger, we'll let them take that same outdoor pool pass and go over to the rec center. And that's a dual benefit for the city. One is they don't feel like they're losing money. The other thing, it exposes them to the rec center and what else we have to offer them if they're interested in that. We have bike trails and multimodal paths. Our cemetery is like a park itself. We get a lot of support from the Friends of the Cemetery, and we're thankful for their financial investment in the Spring Grove Cemetery. We have a senior citizen snowplow program. The Love Medina Community Service Day is where we put together different churches with interest of going out and helping maybe seniors or handicapped folks that can't put their own mulch down or can't paint their own shed or can't trim their own shrubs just because of their physical limitations. And we try to take care of those folks as best we can. The city 2 years ago began providing $20,000 a year to the Office of Older Adults because it was important enough that the Senior Citizen Meal Assistance Program was supplemented by the city. We have a leaf and yard waste program at no charge during the summer and the fall. And then at our Medina Community Recreation Center, we have a field house, a track, a functional training building that we're hoping to start yet this year, 2 indoor pools, meeting rooms that are available to the public, and we also, the same Healthy Medina program that I shared with you earlier that is saving the city an enormous amount in healthcare premiums. we also have another program that's run out of the rec center for the community. And what we've seen in that program is, excuse me, one resident was using a walker. And that resident, by taking part in the Healthy Medina program, by meeting there weekly, by the encouragement of the other participants, she ended up walking 2 miles a day and ended up getting off her blood pressure medicine, getting off of her diabetes medicine, and strengthening her heart and her overall health. There's another fellow who hadn't been off the chair for a couple years. He was an amputee, and he got a prosthesis fit to where he could walk, and began walking and enjoyed it so much that he was then starting to look for another prosthesis that would permit him to run instead of just walk. And without the Healthy Medina program, neither of those two would have taken place. A Best Hometown works with the county. 2 of our county commissioners are here. The city has worked very hard to establish and maintain relationships and work together, because this is all your tax dollars. Doesn't matter if the school's spending it, the county's spending it, the city's spending it. The more we can do together and help conserve those dollars and help support one another just makes sense. So the county maintains the city sewers for us rather than the city having their own sewer system and processing and that. The county and the city share equipment or expertise if they have an issue that comes up that we can help with, and vice versa. The large parking deck currently behind the Common Pleas Court was a collaborative effort between the county and the city, and we're working today on trying to put together a combined court, municipal court, Common Pleas Court, because when you think about all of the things that are alike that there's no need to duplicate, like a security entrance, like the hallways, like meeting rooms, like courtrooms for that matter, if you can get the judges to agree to share them, right? But really, we don't need to have a block and a half away, a duplication of what we have right over there. It'll save us both operationally, and it'll save us over the years in utility bills and maintenance and upkeep by doing this together. There's been a little bit of resistance with that, but we're continuing to push ahead. We also work very cooperatively with our churches. Pastor Ruffin is here and has worked very, very hard and well with the city. They have an annual Martin Luther King celebration that I helped plan or speak at, both when I was the chief and as mayor. They have a celebration of Black History Month. The American Legion, Dave Taylor in particular, has a 4 chaplain service, and we rotate which church that goes to. The National Day of Prayer events, currently we have a breakfast, noon, and evening service. The noon is at the St. Francis, the breakfast is here, and the evening service rotates the churches. But I've worked on that for 2 decades. 10 years as the chief of police, and 10 years now as mayor. And we get a good turnout for that, and show a lot of support from the community. Actually, that's when the breakfast and the noon service picked up. Just a little side note. So I get elected mayor, which I was happy with. But when it's the planning meeting now in March or April for the evening service, they said, hey, you know, what do you think about having a breakfast and a noon service, because maybe some of the people can't go to the evening. So I said, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. That way people can come 7 a.m., noon, or 7 p.m., whatever fits their schedule. Well, before you knew it, the breakfast that they thought we should have became the mayor's prayer breakfast, which makes the mayor get up at 6 a.m. or 5:30, and then he has to be there at the evening prayer service. But yeah, that wasn't in the first request, I'll tell you. We do church and pastor anniversaries and retirements, or some recognition, church expansions, and then World Communion Day is another event that we do.
Hello, my name is Arthur Ruffin. I am the pastor of Second Baptist Church here in the city of Medina. We are located at 451 Bronson Street. I have been here 3.5 years, and we are enjoying what we're doing here in our church and in our community and also in the county of Medina. One of our goals is to partner with different organizations so that we all can become one and not divisive. We enjoy working with our great mayor, who's a Christian man, Mayor Dennis Hanwell. There's so many other people that we have worked with. We've worked with some people in the law office and the city department that have helped enhance our community, enhanced our church building inside and outside, that have just done a great deal in helping us and seeking things that we need that we are not aware of. So our main goal here is to not be divisive in the city, but to come together as a community and assist one another. We're excited about what different businesses and organizations are doing to show the city of Medina that we can come together, that we are a loving place. It's a great place to live. So we're just excited about what's happening, what's taking place. We're looking forward to what's going to happen in the city. There are other future ideals and things that we have put together. So we're just excited about what church and the community can do together. Medina is a great place to live.
Thank you, Pastor. So another thing that the best hometown should provide is superior safety forces. Our police are trained in AED, and the hospital graciously provided an AED for each of our police cars. And I'm going to tell you why that's important here in just a minute. We've also worked on training our officers in trauma medic first aid, which is bleeding control, stab wound control, CPR, and we started last fall providing the policing services to Lafayette Township. It's the first time the city ever took policing services out of the city. And Lafayette Township approached us. We didn't approach them, but they were pleased with the community policing model that we have and the officers in the neighborhoods talking to people and asked us if we'd be willing to take that on, and the chief's done a great job in organizing that. Our fire department provides fire services to the city, Medina Township, and Montville Township, and we're currently studying a fire district to see if there would be a financial benefit to the three entities of doing it that way versus contractually the way we're doing it right now. In the city and those two townships, the life support team, which is operated out of Medina Hospital, provides the basic and advanced life support to the folks. And some other cities, your fire department provides those. In this case, LST has done and continues to do a great job with it. So back to the AEDs. We have had some saves of having the heart catheter inserted within 52 to 3 minutes of the 911 call. Let me say that again, 52 to 53 minutes from the time somebody dialed 911 to have them in the cath lab downtown Cleveland Clinic and inserting the catheter in to open that artery up. In fact, the Cleveland Clinic is so pleased with it, they ask for copies when we have events like that to study exactly the officer's body cameras, to study exactly what happened, how it happened. So let me walk you through that real quick. When we get a medic call, the medics generally, unless they were out for something, vehicle maintenance, lunch, whatever, they're at a stationary location, whereas the officers are floating around. Any medic call in the city and the two townships, our fire units respond, our police respond, and the LST responds. The police can generally get there in 1 to 2 minutes. They put on the AED that was provided to them in their police car by the hospital. The medics are generally 4 or 5, maybe 6, depending on traffic and distance from the station they came from. All the medics have to do is unplug those leads that are hooked to the patient from our unit and plug them into their unit. What happens next is they electronically send that data out to the emergency room, and they read that, and if it meets certain criteria, they send it on to the downtown campus where they launch the helicopters to meet the ambulance at Medina Hospital. There are times that the person is picked up at the scene, taken out to the hospital, never even goes in the ER, goes right into the helicopter, right up to the campus. And there are people that are walking around today and families that are enjoying their family members as a result of what we're doing with these folks. And I'm proud of what we've done to accomplish that.
Now, I was on the police department for a number of years before I retired. And the police department here has a program. You go on vacation, you call them, give them your information, they'll come out, they'll check your house for you when you're gone. I never had to use it. I did use it, I should say, but I never expected to get a call from them. But here, not too long ago, I checked the house myself. I locked up all the doors and windows, went down to Cincinnati, and I wasn't down there maybe an hour, and I get a call. Hi, Mr. Starkey, this is the Medina Police Department. He says, oh, Lord. And I thought something very serious had happened, but they told me that we found the back door open. I never locked the back door, and the officer was checking, pulled on the door, and it opened. So we made arrangements to have my daughter come out here and lock up the house. And talk about an embarrassment. I mean, gee whiz. But it could have been worse. If the officer hadn't checked the house, the door's unlocked, maybe somebody just come and walk through the yards, grabbing doorknobs. Could have got in the house and who knows what. So that's one of the services that you do have here. It's fantastic. Take advantage of it.
Doug comes up to City Hall and visits us regularly. His humor is not lost on us. Best Hometown also regularly updates and improves its infrastructure. What you'll see there is the North Court project after completion. But in addition to that, we did bridges, roadways, trails, and water lines in 2018 of almost $5 million. And 59% of that money, 59% was grant money, which means we can take, again, the city's limited dollars and try to stretch it further and further. Now, the North Court project, which was a collaboration with ODOT, it improved North Court Street from Harding or Highland, depending on which side of the road you're on, to Fenn Road. The total project was $31 million, and 91% of it was grant dollars from the state of Ohio. And a reason for that was because the area had so many accidents. It was the highest accident area in the city, and Fenn Road was the highest accident area, and the two combined, that stretch, was one of the highest in the state, and that's why we got the dollars. We got the dollars sooner than we would have, though, because the city had the match to match it. Whereas other cities, when ODOT would call them and say, hey, we'd like to do this project, but your share is going to be X, they didn't have the match. By having the match, we were able to get it pushed along. So the city upgraded the lighting. As you can see there, the I don't know what they call them, canopy lights, decorative lights in the center medium there. We improved the light mast arms to fit with the historic city. And on the west side of the road, you can see when the video is higher, there you go on the right side of the screen there, we added a multi-purpose path, and the city paid for all of those things. But it was such an important project for the city and for the region that ODOT actually received a statewide award called the 2019 Don Conway Partnering Award. And the partnering was between ODOT, the city of Medina, DeGioia was the contractor, and Euthenix did the design. But what got us the award was ODOT, who works across the state of Ohio. So they never worked in a city before where they would be digging and run into infrastructure they didn't expect, wasn't on any of the plans, and all of a sudden, here's a water line or here's a sewer line or something else. They've never worked with a city where we could either meet with them immediately at City Hall or take the team out there and meet with them on the hood of a truck look at what the problem was, look at how we were going to reroute, if we had to commit a couple officers for a few hours to keep that project going. Because from our perspective, the sooner we could get it done, the better off for the businesses, the better off for the residents, and we didn't want anything to hold that up. So because of that, it's what we do day in and day out, but because of that, we ended up with that. And that project took 30 months. Even with everything going as well as it did, it took 30 months. Because we did, if you recall, we did the north side first and then the south side second, because we had to be able to maintain traffic for those businesses. And another unusual thing that we do with infrastructure is we put in digital water meter readers now, which means we don't have to pay somebody to go up and down everybody's driveway and look at the meter. They can simply drive down the road and then we get those reads automatically. So that's saving tax dollars. But the other thing it does for us is now we read them and we can find out in finance right away, this person usually has a $30 water bill a month. I'm making up the number, I don't know what the average is. Chris pays the bills, but seriously. But maybe it's 30 and they're looking at this bill this month, it's going to be 45 or 50. What's going on at that house? So we proactively, with Keith's department, proactively will call those folks. Hey, did you put a pool in? Did you put sod in? You're using a bunch of water? No, I haven't done anything. Well, we know that something's going on. Either there's a faucet open, either one of the valves is not shut off, and we either email, call, or make contact in some way to try to get that fixed. And I'm going to give you an example of that here shortly. I just don't want to give it away too early. The Best Hometown also works with local schools. And I know your screen says collaborations with Medina and Buckeye schools, and we do. But we also collaborate a great deal with the Medina County Career Center. We had an old fire truck that would have not brought any money at all or pennies on the dollar for us to sell it at an auction. We gave it to the Career Center to use for their fire prevention program. And then they can use it for as many years as they want, and then when they're ready to auction it, they'll give it back to us. We put it back in the city auction, and we probably get the same thing we would have got if we had done it X amount of years earlier. We've given the Career Center police cars. We've given Medina City Schools and Buckeye Schools computers. Ours had termed out, but the ones that we were going to dispose of were newer than some of the ones that the schools were currently using, so we'd share that with them. Then we partnered with Medina City Schools to buy office supplies together, because the volume, as you can imagine, of a school system buying office supplies versus a city really makes the price go down. Jim Shields has done a great deal of working with the city when we have HR needs. I didn't want to invest in an HR department, because once you create a department, it never goes away. So Greg Huber, myself, the finance department, we can handle most of the day-to-day things. Every once in a while, we get something that's a little more touchy or likely going to create some liability for us, and Jim's been a great resource for that. We share equipment and services. Sometimes we have to patch, some of their roads after the plowing of the winter, some of their driveway accesses until they can get their contractor in to take care of it. We provide the school with 2 school resource officers, one that's shared in the middle schools and one at the high school. And then we have some of our patrol officers that assist with the DARE program. And then the IT services that the city needs, rather than us contracting on the outside for IT, because again, the volume of IT that the school uses is much larger than the city's. We have a full-time sergeant that runs most of our operations, and then if we need something beyond his ability, then we partner with the schools for that. And last but not least, we share the civil service office and the Medina TV office. Medina TV is here videotaping this today, but instead of each of us having a civil service office or each of us having a TV program, again, we're saving tax dollars by doing things this way. Best Hometown should support their veterans and active military and their families. So in Medina, in February, we have the 4 chaplain service that I mentioned to you before that Dave Taylor organizes. In May, up on our square, they have an Armed Forces Day where they actually celebrate the armed forces in our country. In May, we also have the annual Memorial Day parade and program. And in June, there's an oath of office ceremony on the square for the new Army enlistees. And they've asked me for the last 4 or 5 years, these are new recruits. Some of them are either going into their high school senior year or they graduated. But they ask me from the city to administer the oath of office to them as they start their career with the Army. And then it's not on your screen, but as I was reviewing my notes, it occurred to me in November, every November we do a Veterans Day concert. And it's of late, it's been at the Catholic Church because they have the parking and the facility and what we need there. But how that all started was after the terrorist attacks on 9/11/2001, Marcus Nyman, who's been with the band for many years as the conductor, said we need to do something to heal the community. We need to have a program where we bring the community together to heal. And we started that in November of 2001, and it's still going today. And again, the whole purpose was to build unity.
I think one of the key aspects of the vibrancy of any city is its citizenship. And I think the veteran community of any city has a lot to do with that. And Medina is just wonderful in terms of how it treats its veterans and how the veterans support the city in a lot of activities. And so it's a nice marriage that we have here, and it's been that way for many, many years. We're reaching out in a number of ways to increase the understanding of all of our citizens, particularly our students, of the value of the service of veterans and what that means to their freedom today. And when they understand that, then they understand why they have the freedom to do what they can do. And the veterans are a big part of that. And we have a great relationship with the city, and we're just going to improve that relationship through the coming years. And it's important that we do that for our children and our children's children, so that they all understand the value of veterans in their community and the fact that freedom is not free.
I don't know if you can see on that airplane nose, it says Pride of Medina. So that was the airplane. It was flown by Joe Zarni, who was the brother of Elmer Zarni, and he flew General George Patton through the European theater of World War II in that plane that said Pride of Medina on it. If you'd like to see some more history of aviation in Medina, our airport has a whole conference room with pictures and history. So the best hometown goes above and beyond. Let me just give you a few examples of that. On December of 2018, we had a couple of our we had a fire duty officer, respond to a house in Montville because the fire detectors were going off, malfunctioning. He checked them all out, got them all disconnected, and told the homeowner that they needed to be replaced, and made some recommendations on what would be good replacements for them. So they contacted the fire department when they purchased the new fire detectors, and the fire crew now, not just the fire duty officer, the fire crew came out, which are several officers. While 2 of them were inside hooking up the new fire detectors, the other one was outside shoveling the snow off the driveway and the sidewalks for the elderly couple. And the owner called me to tell me how amazed he was that they would care enough to do something like that for them, not only the fire detectors, but the snow. In December of 2018, I observed a local business owner come to the finance window, and she does this every December. She asks for a number of the people who are on the shut-off water list and puts them on her credit card so those people have water during the holidays. In January of 2019, Nino directed our service crews to watch for trash and things that have blown into the roadway so that we can try to keep our town looking upkept day in and day out, which is what we all strive for. On January 11th of 2019, we had Rita at City Hall down in the Rotunda meeting with residents, and we had just switched our contract tax group to Rita, so some people had to refill out forms and get things taken care of. Well, I find out a little bit later that this elderly woman had walked up from Highland Drive in the 27-degree weather to meet with Rita because she didn't drive. So we were able to ask around City Hall and found somebody, one of our staff, that was going out to run an errand, and she was from our community development department, and she took the lady back home so she didn't have to walk outside again in that. On Saturday, January 12th, I was driving on North Jefferson Street behind the Giant Eagle there. My folks live about a block from there, heading over there, and noticed a tree had fallen over on the little hill there behind Giant Eagle and was obstructing the sidewalk. So I sent a note to the building department with my phone, expecting that they would see it Monday and get it taken care of. But lo and behold, Dan happened to come in on Saturday, saw the email, grabbed a chainsaw and cut up the tree, clearing the sidewalk, and then went into the Giant Eagle to tell them what had happened, where their wood was now, and was able to get that cleared up. He didn't take the wood. I just wanted to be clear on that, Dan. On January 23rd, we were plowing the streets because it was one of those days where we had to, and an elderly female resident was struggling trying to get her garbage cans pulled back up the driveway. And our snowplow driver stopped the truck, took the cans back up to the house for her, and then took her by the arm and got her back in the house. He couldn't do her driveway because he had a big truck, and Nino would not have liked that. On Wednesday, June 5th, I had a resident call me because he's in the 900 block of Lawrence, and we were getting one of those torrential rains that we had this spring and early summer, and he said the water is not going in the drains. It's literally several inches deep. Within minutes, our street department was there and cleared the storm drain so that it would flow in. What he was more impressed with is the very next day, we brought a whole crew out, and they vacuumed every storm drain within a couple blocks of there, as well as swept the street from all those seeds that come down at that time of year, the whirlybirds and whatnot. And he was so impressed that not only would they fix it for that issue, but the long-term issue of getting all those seeds down out of the basin itself and checking the other ones that we had not seen any problems with. And I can tell you, I'm just so proud of the team. These are just a few examples, but I'm just so proud of the team because day in and day out, this is what they do.
I was walking the streets with her, this street, and this was in March. And I was crossing the street, and you know, with the winter grounds are like, the cement is like raised. Well, I tripped and fell and got hurt. And what did we do? With the hand. And we called the city, and boy, they took care of it right away. There was no, you know, they really cared, and they did the streets for us so that we don't trip on them. I should have been watching, yeah, but you know, I was busy talking, and then next thing I know, I went down. Yeah, they cared. They took care of it, and that's how we met Nino, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He called the next day. My husband's hand got swollen, but nothing was broken. And I did call City Hall just to kind of report it, simply because I did not want children riding their bicycles to also trip and hurt themselves.
Or older
Or
people.
older
Yeah.
people, or anyone for that matter. And so the same day, probably within the hours, they came and they got it fixed. And my husband did go see his doctor. It was just swollen pretty big, but no broken bones or anything like that. But the next day, Nino called. And I thought, wow, a city hall worker.
That's new to us in all the cities we
Nino.
lived in, that the city would actually get in touch with you.
Wow, that's interesting. He wanted to really know how my husband was doing. And when we walked in City Hall to pay our bills, everyone there, not only Nino, but everyone there is so friendly. I love them all. I love them. They're just there, always ready to help. And it's not only us, I believe it's everyone. Everyone.
They do come up to City Hall every month. And I asked him one time, I mean, not that we don't like to see him, right? But I said, you know, you can mail these in, or you can do a direct deposit, or we got a drop box right outside. And they said, no, we want to come in and talk to everybody. That's why we're here. So you've heard this morning, or this afternoon, about what I think makes Medina a best hometown. But we have a few other examples.
It's just a real blessing every day to wake up and get out in the community and enjoy all that's I've seen come about and is here now to stay and get better every year for our next generation.
They're just there, always ready to help. And it's not only us, I believe it's everyone. Everyone.
Can't say enough about Medina. That is, for me and my wife, a super fantastic place to live. Wouldn't trade this for anything in the world.
And I want to give Medina, the city of Medina, a pat on the back too, because I've done some work in other cities, as I've mentioned, and to be honest, nobody compares to Medina. You do it right and you do it well.
We're very happy here, and this is where we're going to remain.
Medina is a great place to live.
Best hometown this year. Good.
Oh, good job. Oh, that was a nice one. Good job. She's right. We've talked about all these other things, but the best hometown is everybody here. Everybody here working together, everybody doing the right thing for the right reasons. And I thank each and every one of you for that. If there's questions, I'll answer those. If there's not, thank you all very much. God bless you.